Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is October the 14th, 2025. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Tuesday to ya. Hopefully you've had a good one. Hopefully it's been a solid day for ya. My day was good, but it has been yet again another busy, hectic day. So we got up, we tended to the dogs. Dogs are doing well. Everything's ivory there. Love that. We, wind up getting to work, timely fashion. We love that. But it's looking crazy. It was bedlam. There was cardboard everywhere. So wasn't stoked to see that, but I was glad that the crusher was back on. Everything was running. Everything was okay. So we just got to it. Essentially, I didn't move much. I just stayed in the crusher, just mashing. At one point, one of my, coworkers from maintenance comes over, and we're talking like super quick. And I notice a new person comes over, and this has been a person who's kind of floated in and out, like I want to say over the past week or so. And I didn't know who they were. I could tell they were new. They would ask me a question like when I was leaving, and I assumed that they were second shift and they were my replacement. A lot of times I get a random person. I do not know, who they are. And, they take my spot and they take over. Cool. Whatever. And then next week it's someone else or whatever, So this seemed like a really new person. I just ignored them until today. And I said, hey, what's up? And he proceeds to tell me, oh, I'm here, waiting for, my supervisor to come down. But, I figured I'd be here and ready. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I kind of have this vibe, and longtime listeners know I tend to be an asshole at first blush. I mean, shit, I tend to be an asshole at every blush, but like, I tend to be a little bit more standoffish, a little bit more abrasive, especially at work, on the job. I don't know you. I just want to do my job. If you're not a part of my, 3 to 5 people that I really want to see and or talk to, like, why are you coming up to me? What's up? Just leave me alone. Do your job. I'll do mine. Right. But, needless to say, I think once I usually warm up or someone kind of finds a groove with me, then I find out how to work with them. And I'm generally less abrasive, less standoffish. So I realize this person's going to be working with me for the rest of my day. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. They're already doing what I like, which is being quiet and just pushing the buttons. They're not getting in my way. They're not trying to overperform. Good. Perfect, man. More of that. Great. And so we're just, we're hacking away at it. And at one point he just asked me randomly, he goes, hey, do you play Street Fighter? And I go, no, but I did watch Evo all weekend. So I do like Street Fighter. I love Tekken. I love that stuff. And so, he opened it up a little bit and we started talking. I started getting to know him. And so that is something that I feel like is a pro for me, is I'm pretty adaptable. If you're a talkative person, then I will let you yap to me. I will, talk about whatever hobby. I'll do my best to keep up with you. And if I like it, great, then we can vibe to that. We can connect over that. If you're the silent type, great, perfect. I already have a headphone in and I'm already not even trying to listen anyway. That I can just lock in and listen to my thing. So, this worked out. It was good. Seems like a good, coworker. Seems like a solid guy. So I'm fine to work with them. Hopefully, it seems like this might be the trend, especially with so much work. They're probably gonna have this is my new assistant, or not so much assistant, but secondary, whatever you want to call it. So that was nice. Also, I had a moment too where the supervisor did come down and suggested a divide and conquer strategy, which I'm fine with, because we have two different, types of trash. We have the cardboard trash, which I'm usually on. I primary. That's the main concern of the day. And then the composite trash. This is everything else. And that needs to get done as well. But especially on a day like today, that's not the focus. And I could tell that the supervisor was trying to like do this dance with me where I would like step up and be like, oh, I'll tell him how to work the other crusher. Yeah, no problem. Or that I would say, oh, I'll handle that and let him do the cardboard. Which I looked at him and I go, well, you see I'm on cardboard. You see how busy it is. And I smiled at him and he smiled back and proceeded to teach him how to do the job. Because it's not my gig, man. I'm getting paid the least amount in this fucking warehouse. I hate that they want me to also train someone on top of that on any given day. No, fuck that. Fuck you. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. I mean, I will inevitably, like, if they need to know something on the fly, I'll give them a tip. Whatever. That's fine. But, like, I'm not going to go out of my way to train you. It's just not my job. That's not my bag. You literally had someone else to do this. They should be here doing that. You know what I mean? Like, don't put that on me, Ricky Bobby. Especially when it's as busy as it was. Like, that's like what I inferred. I'm like, look at how this worked. Like, you really want me to be trainer right now? No, I'm focusing on my job. That's what I'm gonna do. So, you know, needless to say, sometimes you gotta play a little hardball. But no, it was a good day. It was solid. Despite it being so busy in its own way, it was nice just to kind of be locked in and, you know, just focus on the work. Get it done. Dum, 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 dum. So we definitely still have a lot to get through, but I'm sure I'll manage. Also, a bit of an update on what cracked the crusher. Because I was wrong. We were wrong. Our investigation, wrong. We fucked it up, apparently. And we literally did. It was on us as the company, not Rumpke. So, mea culpa, Rumpke. You're still my op. We're still, I hated adversary. But that being said, what happened was overnight, whoever was last on the crusher was filling it up. And at some point, the pressure was so big that it literally busted off the clamps. And as the maintenance was telling me this, one of them goes, could you imagine that happening? That would be so scary. And I got a little pissy and I go, could I imagine? Yeah, it's happened to me multiple times. That shit is scary as fuck. You're right. Because it has happened to me. Like, in the situation of like, that's why I'm mindful of like, hey, you were supposed to respect what they tell you to do here. You're not supposed to overfill the crusher. The problem is you have supervisors who don't care about that. They have bottom lines to meet. They want to get all this cardboard done and out of the way. They don't want to have to worry about this. So they keep telling you to keep doing it, or they'll put someone down to keep doing it and they don't know any better. So I'm not surprised that this happened that way. Like, once I was told that story, that angle, I was like, well, the reason I didn't suspect that was the way that the load was working, like in terms of how much load we were going through in a day. Like, when I was working during the day, like, it wasn't that busy. It hasn't been that busy over the past week or so. So I wouldn't suspect something like that to happen. But that being said, if the crusher is getting filled at any given point and you're going beyond it, you're kind of running that risk. Also, it can just happen where it's just too much pressure and then boom, goes the dynamite. But yeah, I've literally been in situations where, you know, I hit the crusher, it's ramming it out, and then there's supposed to be a pop, like just a distinguishable pop that you can hear, but sometimes that pop is so loud from that pressure, and when that situation happens that it's loud enough to break off the clamps, they said that it had shaken the whole building. Like, that side of the warehouse could hear it and feel it a little bit. And I've been there. I literally jumped into the cardboard buggy, like, not because it threw me back or anything dramatic in that effect, but because it was like an animalistic, like, fear impulse of like, I need to hop into this buggy to shelter me because it feels like the ground is going to give out from under me. I don't know like, if I'm gonna make it now. It gives you that kind of feeling. So yeah, I could imagine. I've lived it. I hope I don't live it again, but you know, knock on wood there. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to get that for the record corrected. Not Rumpke's fault. It was on us. You can put the blame on we, not me. I didn't do that. I respect the crusher. When the light's on, when the thing stops, I stop. Full stop. That's safety, baby. Anyway, we've talked a little bit more than I expected to about my work day. So let's just go ahead and move along from there. Let's mosey on out. Post-work, we then checked on the animals again. They were doing good. You know, they're peeing, they're pooping. We love that. Took a quick reconnoiter at the house, and then I went to the gym. Gym was, yet again, it's a busy Tuesday, so, I mean, all the Smith machines were taken. I went over to the freeway area. That was all taken up at the time, and I said, well, what's a guy to do? And I said, well, we're going to improvise. We're just going to do our own thing a little bit. It's a freestyle almost. And I also told myself, we are going to have this workout. Like I said the other day, we don't have as much time as I'd like. We're going to have to make the sacrifices for the week, and it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. And we did an hour's worth of work, so we did about maybe like 30 minutes of weight training, and then about 30 minutes of cardio. I will say the weight training wasn't my favorite. I kind of just did, got what was open, did some leg stuff, did some arm stuff, did some chest stuff. That was more or less the vibe. Got like my usual core session in, that was neat, cool. And then for the cardio, it was just 50 minutes of Stairmaster, 50 minutes of treadmill. That seems to be a working kind of strategy for the week for me, and I'm liking that. So yeah, not ideal. I am excited for the weekend where I can go back to doing full out workout. That's going to be good, getting back to regular, but this is okay. This works. And overall, it was a good workout. It was solid. And then also, a little fun note, I have been wearing bandanas for the week because I'm bald and I'm self-conscious about being bald now because I'm afraid that my hair looks funky and I fucked up my hair. Whatever. So I'm just wearing bandanas now. That's my thing until it grows back out. I like it. All right. So yeah, that is pretty much everything. That's my day. That's how everything is gone. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup and let's get into some news. Before I officially get to our break, though, I did want to say corrections. Yesterday, I fucked up the 2 stories out of California with the helicopter crashes, and I really wanted to just circle back around to that and give my condolences to Susie Smith. Rest in peace. I hate getting any story wrong. I hate when I make a fucking mistake. It feels really bad because that's someone's life. And they were, this is an article like, giving them flowers, giving them praises, and talking about what they had to go through, and just the crash itself, and I fucked that up. I think what happened was I literally, in the moment, I was like, am I telling the same story twice? And I've had that happen before. I've made mistakes like that before on the pod. And, I didn't want to make that again, and then I realized I didn't, and then I was like, well, we just kind of gotta finish this thing. So, yeah, I just wanted to officially say, mea culpa. And, once again, rest in peace, Susie Smith. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to that break or startup. You know what I mean. All right. Our first story is coming out of CNN. 6 killed after U.S. strikes another boat off coast of Venezuela. The U.S. military conducted yet another strike on a boat alleged to be trafficking drugs off the coast of Venezuela, killing 6 people on board, President Donald Trump announced Tuesday. Trump said that the vessel was affiliated with a designated terrorist organization, but did not name any organization or provide evidence to back up the assertion. This is very much deja vu. This marks the 5th time that the U.S. has done a strike like this. It looks like this is just going to become the trend now, where we are now throwing away the judge and the jury, and we just have the executioner. And if you go out on a boat coming out of Venezuela, we're just going to assume that you're a drug trafficker, and we're going to kill you. We're going to blow you up, which is insane. Like, I'm not happy about this. This chills me. It doesn't make any fucking sense. I cannot square it. That yet again, this is what my taxpaying dollars is going to. We're not doing any kind of investigating on this shit. We're just gonna boom, 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 and then Trump's gonna post on Truth, and then that's the news, baby. Rinse and repeat. I guess. And I feel like we should be hearing more international condemnation about this fucking shit. More people should be ringing alarm bells saying, like, this is very fucking wrong. As opposed to, like, I wonder what Maduro is thinking about right now. Who gives a shit? Like, this is illegal shit happening. But here we are. So, yeah, I just wanted to get that on the record and talk about that. Sadly, I'm sure there's going to be more of these kind of strikes. And then I'm very scared of what the escalation is going to look like coming out of our Department of War. I'm sure fucking Pete Hegseth is like jerking at the fucking chance. I don't even know. But anyway, Let's move along. From The Guardian. Weather tracker. Storms cause deadly landslides in Mexico and floods in Spain. Let's see. The coastal area stretching from the tourist hotspots of Alicante and Benidorm in the southeast to Barcelona, in the northeast, as well as the Balearic Islands, have seen rainfall totals of 100 to 200 millimeters, or 3.9 to 7.8 inches. Thank you. I need that. I'm American. Thank you. Thunderstorms have brought hourly rainfall rates of more than 60 millimeters, resulting in flash flooding and leading to travel chaos, including flight cancellations and stranded holidaymakers, as well as damage to property. Spain's state meteorology agency, AMET, declared the extreme wet weather as being the first high-impact DANA of the autumn season. The term DANA stands for Depression Aislada in Niveles Altos, isolated depression at high levels. A DANA is an upper atmospheric depression disconnected from the main airflow, potentially leading to torrential downpours, gusty winds, hail, and thunderstorms. The severity of these complex systems is dependent on local conditions such as land, sea temperature differences, and humidity, making a forecast of their intensity difficult. It is the first DANA to be given an official name, Storm Alice, assigned from a list agreed in advance by the Southwest European Storm Naming Group, which comprises of Spain, Portugal, France, Belgium, Andorra, and Luxembourg. The naming of storms aims to communication clearer when severe weather events are anticipated. Previously, there has been confusion among the public as only some DANAs lead to devastating weather. By only naming those expected to have a significant impact, it is hoped that the public will find it easier to comprehend whether it poses a real threat. Though I feel like these days, it's hard. It is so hard. I mean, obviously, you gotta trust, what the weathermen and women, meteorologists or whatever, are saying. But I know that you can have like a storm kind of come and go, oh, well, that was maybe bad, but maybe not as bad. And then you can kind of relax for the next storm that comes. And it's like, no, they're telling you it's bad. It's like, well, this is the last one was bad. It wasn't. But no, and this one is actually as bad. And it wipes out the whole town. It wipes out the whole city. And there's lots of loss of life, property damage, all that. But especially on the loss of life part, because people said, oh, well, this one isn't so bad. This one isn't scary. I think it just gets harder and harder and harder as we go further on, especially with climate change being as erratic and crazy as it is. You kind of just have to live under the fear and suspicion that this is going to be like the worst one. This is going to be the big one. But sometimes you literally just don't even have the fucking budget. You don't have the means to be like, let's evacuate. Let's go further inland or go farther away or whatever. You don't have that. It becomes a literal luxury, but we're talking about your livelihood. Once again, the times we're living in. Another country experiencing heavy rain and flooding is Mexico, particularly in central and southeastern parts. About 40 people have been killed and many more are missing, with reports of landslides. 100 kilometers, or 621 miles, of damaged road and power cuts affecting 300,000 people. The flooding comes as Tropical Storm Raymond moves slowly northwestwards towards the country's west coast, the third named storm to affect the area recently, following Octave and Priscilla. Raymond is now dying out as it heads towards the U.S. border. And something that I realized that I've kind of learned a little bit, it's helped give me a perspective, because in America, I just think like hurricanes, tornadoes. That's generally what we get. And when I hear a tropical storm, I'm not going to lie to you, for years, in my head, I always tick that down as not as intense as like a hurricane or whatever. And I hear cyclone, I go, okay, that's pretty much about the same thing, right? But it's like, no. Like, you really have to remember that these things can hit land and just completely terraform a place. It doesn't matter what the name or the terminology type it's called. Like, I think that once again, we're talking about like saying, hey, we really want to make sure that when you hear this word, Dana, you know you need to be concerned and you need to pay attention. But really, like when you hear a storm and you kind of just have to perk up and say, what's going to go on? How bad do you think this really is? And then really make, the most grim assessment and kind of go from there, I feel. I don't know. I say I'm not a fucking expert on this shit, but it felt weird, I think, because, like, once again, you just kind of have your cultural lens, I think, or at least I did, and I go, okay, yeah, hurricane's bad, tornado's bad, especially if they're, like, high number, but it's like, you really gotta just, I guess, more or less focus on those numbers. What are they saying the storm's gonna do? How long is it gonna be? All that kind of shit. You really got, the devil is in the details, and you gotta just pay attention to every one of these things. But that can be stressful, that can be tiring, But anyway, obviously, heart goes out to everyone going through this kind of fucking shit. Fucking natural disasters like weather, man, that shit's scary. Not to get too anecdotal in the weeds here, but as a kid, one of my biggest fears was thunderstorms. They would knock me out. Like, I know some people love the aesthetic. I love a little rain, a little thunder, a little lightning. Oh, I'm curled up, I'm asleep. Not me as a kid. I was literally in the bathroom, like curled up, like in the fucking tub, like, oh my God, where I'm gonna die. And it's like, it would be friends and family like telling me, Isaiah, like, the lightning's not gonna get you in here, like, and I think it was just, once again, it was I was like paralyzed by the vibe. Like, it was just so scary and ominous, and I didn't know what was gonna happen. And as I got older, I finally started like rationalizing it better and like saying, okay, everyone's right. Like, the lightning's not gonna come through the window and shock me. I'm gonna be okay. What is really scaring you about this? And I did the math, and I go, oh, it's a tornado. Tornadoes scare me. I'm scared of Twister. That's why I never saw that shit. You know what I mean? No, thank you, sir. Kevin Costner, I'm sure it's a great movie. I'll pass. Like, no, I'm not a Twister enjoyer. I'm not a tornado guy. So yeah, that scares me. An event that's going to come and completely turn my life upside down. That would be bad. Now, granted, outside, I don't want to get hit by lightning, but I feel like, once again, I've gotten older. It's not as unnerving to me. But that being said, it is bad weather like that puts me on edge. I'm a little, I don't like it. I definitely don't want to be out in it. No way. No, thank you. So, knock on wood, I have not been in a tornado. I hopefully never want to be. I know I cover a lot of devastating weather like that, though, and, it is on my mind a lot. But yeah, oof. Sorry, we're talking personal shit here. I'm supposed to be sticking on the news, but you know how it is. You know how it goes to the newsstand. All right. Our next story from CBS News, Weiss's very own. 5 arrests made in connection with Mississippi mass shooting that left 6 dead, FBI says. 5 people have been arrested in connection with a weekend shooting that left 6 dead and more than a dozen injured in a small Mississippi town, officials said. Tevion L. Powell, 29, William Bryant, 29, Morgan Lattimore, 25, have been charged with capital murder, while Latoya A. Powell, 44, has been charged with attempted murder in the mass shooting. A spokesperson for the FBI's Jackson Field office confirmed to CBS News on Monday. Now, I'm not going to lie to y'all, I literally heard about this story today, and I was like, why? Like, what? Like, I covered the story about the Willie shooting or whatever, and I was like, okay, that's one thing. But I mean, once again, and this is typical American pacing. This shit is happening all the time in a lot of different places. Plus, we had a lot of big international news, going on coming out of Israel and Gaza. So I get that this didn't maybe get as much oxygen, but so I'm here to talk about this shit. A 5th person was arrested Tuesday, according to Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves, but he did not provide any additional information. It was not immediately clear whether the suspects have attorneys. The Associated Press left a voicemail with the Washington County Public Defender's Office asking if his attorneys are representing the defendants. Other arrests are pending as this investigation continues, the spokesperson said, urging anyone with information about the shooting in the rural Northwest Delta region to report tips to the FBI. The shooting happened early Saturday morning. It came as people celebrated homecoming weekend in downtown Leland, shortly after a high school football game, and was the deadliest of several shootings across Mississippi over the weekend. Since I'm being so personal this episode, fun fact, I never went to a homecoming. I didn't do that. I wasn't a very high school social guy. I actually never went to a high school prom. I went to my church's proms. I got to wear jeans, which I got cooked for one time, and I was like, "Are you serious? This is a church prom. You're roasting me." I was indignant. But I mean, hey, my swag has only gotten worse. Anyway, back to the real shit at hand. I'm sorry. Another shooting left 2 people dead at Heidelberg High School on Saturday. It also occurred during a homecoming game. Other shootings were reported at 2 Mississippi universities on Saturday at schools at those schools celebrated their as those schools celebrated their homecoming weekends. Authorities have not disclosed a possible motive for Friday night's shooting in Leyland. Leyland. I'm losing it. But the FBI said the gunfire appears to have been sparked by a disagreement among several individuals. 4 of the victims died at the scene, where abandoned shoes were left and blood stained the pavement of a downtown street the following day. There's something so surreal about that when you see a shooting and like just the random missing pieces of clothing. There's just something so weird and surreal, maybe even uncanny. It's like, wow, it makes you want to like hone in on that, but then you understand, like, put yourself in the moment. There's a shooting. People are shooting. Like, you're supposed to be having a good time. It's supposed to be just like literally a school event, and people are popping shots off like this is a fucking combat zone. Because in America, it might as well be. So, next thing you know, you're shook out of your goddamn shoes that weren't tied too tight. Like, it makes sense. It's just so weird to see post the moment, I feel. Witness Camish Hopkins described seeing people wounded and bleeding and 4 people dead on the ground. It was the most horrific scene I'd ever seen, Hopkins told the Associated Press. The shooting in Leyland was the 14th mass killing in 2025, according to the Associated Press, USA Today, Northeastern University mass killing database. The database tracks all homicides in the U.S. since 2006, in which 4 or more people were killed intentionally within a 24-hour period, not including any defender. It's crazy, like, we have this, like, such specific things, like, not just, like, mass, we have genres for these fucking killings, man. It's so sad. Let's see, elsewhere in the small town of Heidelberg, on the east side of the state, the bodies of 2 people, including a pregnant woman, were found on a high school campus Friday night. It's so, the fact that it's so much, like, centered around, like, high schools, too, is like, god damn, dude. That shooting happened the same evening Heidelberg High School played its homecoming football game, according to police and Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves. Police have not said exactly when the gunfire occurred or how close it was to the stadium. An 18-year-old man was charged with 2 counts of murder and illegally having a gun on school campus in the Heidelberg shooting, Jasper County Jail records show. Heidelberg, a town of about 640 residents, is about 85 miles southeast of the state capital of Jackson. On Saturday evening, 3 people were found with apparent gunshot wounds on the Alcorn State University campus in Claiborne County, the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation said. One of the victims died, the agency said. The police found the victims after a call reporting shots fired in the area of the Industrial Technology Building. No arrests were announced. Oh my gosh. And then, wait, there's fucking more. The shooting happened after a crowd of more than 7,000 people watched Alcorn State defeat Lincoln University of Oakland, California in the Mississippi Schools homecoming game Saturday afternoon. In Jackson, police responded around 7 p.m. Saturday to the tailgating area of Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium, where Jackson State University hosted Alabama State University. A juvenile had been shot in the abdomen. Oh, my God. Getting shot in the stomach sounds so terrible. And was taken to a hospital, police said. No arrests were announced, and a few other details about the shooting were immediately available. So, yeah, I wanted to read through that all the way down. Just a fucking goddamn just shootings all over, just in that area. Like, we're talking like fucking one state here. Mississippi, Alabama, you know what I'm talking about. God damn. It's upsetting. Well, all this is in Mississippi. Anyway, let me collect myself. What a world. We're on our last break. So we're going to take like I said, our last break, have some sips. And we're going to talk about some potentially illegal sips coming out of Ohio. I thought that this was done and dusted, and then we had this shit over with. But nope, Mr. DeWine, Governor DeWine, has said otherwise. But yeah, let me take my last break. We'll get into it. We got to go to Ohio. OHIO. All right. Let's get local. From the Columbus Dispatch. Ohio ban on THC drinks, gummies, and hemp products starts October 14th. Whew. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine's 90-day ban on intoxicating hemp, including THC-infused gummies and beverages, went into effect at 12:01 a.m. on October 14th. DeWine's decision came after months of waiting for lawmakers to impose their own restrictions. 3 businesses are suing DeWine over the order, but so far no action has been taken by the court. Excuse me. Members of the Ohio Healthy Alternatives Association, with advocates for alternatives to alcohol and prescription drugs, filed a lawsuit shortly after DeWine announced the ban. The lawsuit asks a Franklin County Commons Pleas judge to block DeWine's ban and prevent it from taking effect. The association says DeWine doesn't have the authority to restrict access to the products and cause systematic chaos overnight. Here's what you need to know about the ban. The executive order bans the sale of consumer products containing intoxicating hemp, including THC-infused beverages and gummies. The products cannot be displayed in stores and must be disposed of by returning them to the manufacturer or giving them to law enforcement. DeWine's ban on intoxicating hemp went into effect on October 14th at 12:01. DeWine imposed a 90-day ban on intoxicating hemp by declaring a consumer product emergency. Ohio lawmakers could appeal the emergency after 30 days, but that seems unlikely. A governor's state of emergency can last only 90 days unless state lawmakers extend it. Ohio House Speaker Matt Huffman, a Republican from Lima, said lawmakers could come up with a solution within the next 50 or 60 days. In April, the Ohio Senate passed Senate Bill 86, which would require hemp to be sold in marijuana dispensaries to those 21 and older. The bill's sponsor, Senator Steve Huffman, Republican from Tip City, called it a responsible path forward. Which is so weird to see, like, Republicans, like, pro-regulation when it comes to, like, things like drugs, I guess, or, specifically, like, a marijuana or whatever, where they're like, we normally want to be, like, hands-off, government, we want to be light on that, but with drugs, you know how that is, that's bad, so we gotta, like, get as close to prohibition as we can. Maybe that's just me sprinkling my bias on there. The ban does not impact the sale of marijuana in dispensaries. Ohio legalized recreational marijuana with a 2023 vote. Woohoo! I remember that. POG. I was there. In fact, marijuana businesses applauded DeWine's order, which I wasn't surprised. Like, you normally don't, like, you expect this kind of twist from, like, a now corporate established thing of, like, well, we want you to come here and buy it. We don't want you to go there and buy it. Adult Ohioans deserve safe, regulated, and tested products they can trust. Ohio Cannabis Coalition Executive Director David Bowling said, "Our industry has always been invested in the communities where we live, work, and do business, and we will continue that commitment." Can DeWine ban intoxicating hemp on his own? That's a question for the courts. DeWine said in January 2024 that he needed lawmakers to act to restrict intoxicating hemp, and he couldn't do it on his own. So it sounds like he already knows he can't. But since they weren't rising up to do something, he's like, well, I'll do it myself. And it's like, Bro, okay. Three businesses are already suing over the ban. Members of the Ohio Healthy Alternatives Association, which advocates for alternatives to alcohol and drug prescriptions, filed a lawsuit shortly after DeWine announced the ban. The lawsuit asks a Franklin County Commons judge to block the ban until from taking effect on October 14th. Let's see here. The 2018 Farm Bill legalized hemp nationwide and defined it as cannabis with no more than 0.3% Delta 9 THC, the compound that produces a high. The law opened the door for industrial hemp and CBD, but it also created a legal loophole that allows CBD stores, breweries, and gas stations to sell hemp-derived cannabis and other gray market products. Now, I can attest to this a bit because I remember I went to a brewery. I think this is like last year, and they had like a THC infused cola, and I was like, okay, I'm game. I'll try that. That sounds yummy. I love this kind of stuff. So I went and I tried it, and I go, oh, smurp. I just paid for this. It tastes fine. It tastes like a cola. I can taste a little bit of the bit. You know, that's cool. That's what you want. But it just generally wasn't giving much. Like, it's very low volume. It's very, what people were saying is just weak. It's diet. Which is like, okay. And I think there were some people I've heard in the discourse saying like, yeah, that's why we don't like this. We want to see and have better products out there. We don't want to have this like watered down mushy mash that potentially anyone could get their hands on. But I would say anyone getting their hands on, no, you still have to go through the protocols. You still have to be of an age to buy it. You still have to be an adult. So, like, I'm kind of against that narrative a bit. I think that you should be able to buy this stuff, like, anywhere. Like, you could buy, like a beer. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm a bit confused on where the rub is on that. This just feels like overregulation. I don't call me crazy. That's my take. That's where I'm standing. That's where I'm sitting. That's the hill that I'm chilling on right now. But I would also add, do I really care about this specific issue? Not so much. Like, once again, I want the strong stuff if I'm gonna, dance with this kind of thing. Because I've had it when it's not at, like, my local brewery or whatever, and from a dispensary, and it's much better. I will attest to that. I will give the dispensaries their due, their credit there, their flowers on that. But that being said, I would prefer a world where you have the spectrum, where I could go to my local gas station and just like I could buy a 6-pack of whatever, I could buy that 6-pack of, green whatever. You know what I'm saying? I think that should be fine and dandy. Call me crazy. Call me a wild rebel. I don't know. Call me Willie Nelson. I don't give a fuck. But, that's my 2 cents on that. I would be remiss, though. There was an update on this. I didn't want to forget about it. Scroll all the way up to the top now. No, I gotta scroll all the way back. Okay. In the afternoon of October 14th, a Franklin County judge temporarily blocked Governor Mike DeWine's ban on intoxicating hemp, allowing the sale of products for now. Which, because I would agree, just mashing the button here on this and like saying, okay, we fixed it for, 30 days or whatever. Or is it 90 days? Whatever. Okay, you know what I'm saying. That causes a chaos. I agree with that. You're gubbing up the works here. These things are already being sold, and you're telling me now I have to just like throw out the product. I have to eat it. I have to take a loss. That once again seems pretty fucked up of a fucking Republican-led fucking government doing. But I could see either side of the aisle really doing this shit. And honestly, in Ohio, everyone fucking hates Mike DeWine. It doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or you're a Democrat. Everyone fucking hates that guy. That's something I realized since COVID. Like, we're just not a fan. I remember feeling like, though, at that point during COVID, I'm like, at least he's trying to do the like right thing here. I'll give him that. That being said, the more I learned and looked at DeWine's policies and things he tries to do and do, it's like, oh yeah, he's like a floundering fish. And not to mention, he's not the kind of fish I like anyway. So, tomatoes, boo! I'm on the DeWine hate train. About time, many Ohioans might say. I don't know. But yeah, that's it. That's all I have for today. That is the episode. Oh yeah, we actually did pretty good on the time, looking at the clock. But yeah, if you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/IsaiahNews. Become a newsie today. We do shout outs at the top of the month There are some archived old random things there. There's even a bit of a lore moment from a news story that I did. I don't know if you're interested in that kind of thing. You can also just become a free subscriber. You don't get anything. You don't get the shout out there. But, truly, if I'm being honest, and I say this from time to time, it's just a tip jar, which I do use. I do appreciate. It gets me through some hard times. I'm not going to lie. But one day, if I get enough of a bankroll on it, I would like to do it to improve the podcast. That'd be cool. That'd be dope. But, have no worries. Free ways to hit me up, isaiahnews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Free ways to hit me up. Also, free ways to support and help that are not newsy-esque, but, are still very cool. Subscribing to the podcast. If you hit that subscribe button on YouTube, very much. Thank you. That's good for the algo. That's good for me. Bigger number, better person, some might say. Follow on TikTok, follow on Spotify, follow on Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen. Leaving a like is helpful. Leaving a cool comment, not an asshole fucking boo-boo-he-boo critique or, oh, I hate you, you suck. Don't do that. Don't dislike. That's also lame. People dislike the Barry Weiss episode. That's why I keep making that dumb joke. I don't care. If you're still able to listen, know that the take has not changed. And if you were mad about something else, I don't care. Nah. So yeah, leave thumbs up, not thumbs down. Let's see. Sharing is caring. It can be fun. Try it out. If not, that's okay. It's all good. 5 stars though on the Spotify or the Apple Podcast is also helpful. We love a good review. Yes. But no, if you don't do any of those things, you're just a lurker. You are maybe not even getting to this part because you're a clicker and you just hang out for like the minute and you're gone. You're on to the next thing. You're listening to fucking Joe Rogan. You know what? Hell yeah, brother. He's actually, Peeps game, that's better. It's probably more fun. You're getting more ads. But hey, you're killing more time, and maybe that's what you want. I don't know. And he's a better bald than me. He outbalds me. That's fair. He's got sharper nipples. But anyway, you do you. I love you for whatever. I'm glad you tuned in. I'm glad you hung out with me. So yes, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.